At 6, Colorado breaks another record, and we're starting to sound like one.
I really can't emphasize strongly enough how concerning these trends are.
Same crime, same charges, different treatment.
To me, I'm just fighting so hard for this young man who I believe is not being treated fairly, and I think that unfairness is based on his race.
Nursing home employees are charged in a resident's death.
Colorado's Catholic Church admits the extent of its sins.
And COVID sends the Patriots home just ahead of Sunday's game against the Broncos. Well, another day, another broken record. 1,300 cases of coronavirus reported by the state this evening. The previous high was set only yesterday.
434 people currently in the hospital. That is up 380 from a week ago. At this rate, our healthcare system could be overwhelmed within a matter of weeks.
We've got to bring this under control. Right now, as we speak, about 1 in every 260 Coloradans are currently contagious with coronavirus. That means that if you go to, 3 gatherings or 4 gatherings of 30, 40 people, you have a 50% chance of encountering somebody who's contagious with the virus.
Right now, though, the governor's holding off on new restrictions. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock is not. Today, he announced stricter policies on masks and limited private gatherings to just 5 people.
Denver7's Liz Gilardi has more on that tonight. And Liz, these regulations aren't nothing, but it's fair to say a lot of people expected the mayor to come down harder than this.
Well, I think anytime there's one of these announcements, that's always the question and the fear, and restaurants especially were watching closely to see if anything was going to change. Tonight, they're relieved, but these new orders might affect you even if you're just planning to go to the park this weekend. COVID-19 fatigue is real. It seems like we're constantly being reminded to practice social distancing and wear a mask. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock says it's time to be even more vigilant.
We're higher than we've ever been over the course of this pandemic.
In response, the mayor issued 2 new public health orders, reducing public and private gatherings from 10 people to 5, and mandating masks even in an outdoor setting if you're with someone who is not in your household or when social distancing isn't possible.
I mean, I guess I'll just be hanging out with my roommates from now on. But that's okay.
Denver parks were busy on this beautiful fall day, and we noticed some people didn't get the memo just yet. Mayor Hancock says Denver will be stepping up enforcement, but the announcement came as a relief to the restaurant industry.
We were on pins and needles this morning.
At Homegrown Tap and Dough, Caleb Benton was worried about a potential impact to operations. Even though gatherings are being reduced to 5 people, the city says it's okay for 10 people from different households to sit down at a restaurant because this falls under the state's public health orders.
So it was certainly a relief to find out that, we weren't going to see any additional restrictions on business at this time, and we're just really thankful for that. We're hopeful that everyone in Denver will pull together and do what we need to do so that we can continue to be successful through the challenges of COVID.
And we talked with several people who told us the new restrictions won't change what they're already doing: social distancing and wearing a mask.
Not really, no. I mean, I'm happy to wear a mask when I'm out.
Oh, we've been wearing them from the beginning. I think it's the way we can help get rid of this.
And the mayor did caution that if these numbers continue to trend in the wrong direction, we could take a step back in the state's Safer at Home plan. He says that would be devastating to the economy. Reporting live, Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Liz, thank you. And Adams and Arapahoe counties with their own added restrictions tonight. Going forward, last call is 11 o'clock instead of midnight, and gatherings are limited to 10 people instead of 25. This is in Arapahoe. So in Adams, alcohol sales cut off at 10 o'clock. Fans are now barred from attending high school sporting events. Indoor gatherings are limited to 5 people and outdoors to 10.
And as bad as community spread has been over the last few weeks, it is likely to be worse in November and December when families gather for the holidays.
Unfortunately, as you know, this pandemic is most risky when we mix older and younger populations, right? The younger populations, we know some people get really sick if they get infected and they're young, but most people are asymptomatic. They don't even know they're infected. And if they can spread it to grandma or grandpa or, Auntie Mary at the dinner table, then that is that really creates the potential for some major problems.
The CDC is already advising people just celebrate Thanksgiving with those in your household. The agency also recommends you just catch up with the rest of the family over Zoom or Skype.
Highway 34 in the Big Thompson Canyon closed to the rest of us tonight, so people evacuating over the Cameron Peak fire can get out safely. The smoke is terrible, and more than 169,000 acres have already burned. Many more will if the wind doesn't die down soon. Katie LaSalle joins us now with more on what firefighters are having to deal with tonight. Katie?
And some brutal conditions out there for the Cameron Peak fire and those fighting the fire. Also, the East Troublesome fire bringing in that big plume of smoke over the Denver area. You've probably seen it out near Westminster. It is thick and heavy in spots. We are under an air quality warning once again today through at least 4 o'clock tomorrow. Fire danger, unfortunately, will continue to be a big concern for our foothills and mountains until at least 6 o'clock tomorrow. Our next front will arrive on Sunday. It'll help bring a little relief, some cooler conditions, and the slight chance for a little bit of moisture. At this point, any bit of rain or snow that we get here in Colorado, we will take it. It has been so windy this afternoon. You can see last recorded over Berthoud Pass at 52 miles per hour. Estes Park in Nederland, extremely windy, and that wind direction has brought in the smoke, the haze from the fires. Tonight into tomorrow, it won't be quite as bad for us in Denver, but I'll take you through the 7-day, the extended forecast, when it looks like we'll get some much needed relief still to come. Shannon.
All right, Katie, we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you very much. 81 people will receive compensation for abuse at the hands of Colorado's Catholic Church. An independent committee made that announcement tonight as it brings the reparations program to a close. 73 of those 81 survivors have already received compensation, around $6.6 million. And the names of all credibly accused priests will be listed in a final report to be released in the next few months.
3 employees of a Colorado Springs nursing home are being charged with neglect in the death of a 90-year-old woman. Margarita Sam was found dead on a bench in February. Temperatures were in the 20s. Sam had died of hypothermia. The nursing home, Union Printers, was later closed and its residents relocated. And our sister station, KOAA, reports the facility had been the subject of several prior complaints and investigations. 2 plea deals have been reached in the 2019 murder of Cherokee Trail High School student Lloyd Chavez. 2 other suspects appear headed for trial.
Attorney Mike Root represents one of those 2 suspects, and he tells Denver7's Lance Hernandez his client's circumstances virtually identical to the teens who pled.
And the only difference, his client has been extended no such offer. And unlike the 2 being treated as juveniles, his client is black.
One of the things they can't do is allow the race of a defendant to play a role in the plea bargaining process.
Attorney Mike Root alleging his client, Kenneth Gallegos, is not getting a plea deal because of his race. The defendant and 3 other teens, including a cheerleader at Cherokee Trail High School, allegedly plotted to rob fellow student Lloyd Chavez during a vaping product transaction.
A great kid from a great family.
Rugby coach Dave Farmer said Chavez was competitive and compassionate. Root says he knows the Chavez family is still hurting and this won't bring Lloyd back, but he says 2 other defendants who have been granted plea bargains had nearly the same role his client did.
Does the prosecutor look at Mr. Gallegos as being more culpable than the other 2?
He may. I can't get inside his head, and that kind of is what he suggested. But if you look at the facts, that's not the case.
Root says his client, a black Hispanic, was in the front seat driving. Another black teen was in the back seat. He says that teen had the gun and got into a confrontation with Chavez. Root says the plea bargains for the 2 white students basically treat them as juveniles and gives them probation, while his client could face years behind bars. He's filed a motion requesting information on the DA's prior plea bargaining to see if there's a pattern. The DA won't comment about cases that are about to go to trial, but did say in his legal response that the claims are entirely without merit. He said the defendant conceived the plan, recruited someone with a gun, and specifically requested the presence of that handgun at the robbery. The trial is slated to begin in early December. Lance Hernandez, Denver7.
ICE with the announcement tonight that it's arrested 25 people during a week-long sting operation in Colorado.
Those 25 were targeted because they had been arrested previously, but were released by state or local law enforcement agencies abiding by the Code of Sanctuary Communities. So in other words, they won't keep someone in jail just because they were in the country without documentation.
The law is clear in this regard. We have federal law requires ICE to take certain actions and to enforce that. What I do not do as acting secretary, what the acting director does not do, or any senior leader at the department, is we simply do not ignore the law. We do not choose which portion of the law we enforce and which we do not. And clearly that's what some local political leaders want us to do.
ICE named 3 of the 25 arrested, detailing their histories. That includes crimes of strangulation and domestic violence. Now, for the sake of transparency, we wanted to see the rap sheet of the other 22.
An ICE spokesperson said they could not provide that because of privacy concerns. And that confused us because, as you just heard, ICE released the names and charges against 3 individuals. And when we asked for clarification, ICE told us that under policy, they are allowed to provide details of up to 5 cases. So regardless of how you feel on immigration enforcement, how ICE is deciding which information is and isn't private makes little sense to us.
And if you can explain, we'll gladly listen. Not being sarcastic at all, please explain it to us in an email, 360@thedenverchannel.com. Let us know what we missed here.
Senator Cory Gardner now says he wants to build a new VA hospital in Colorado Springs. Veterans Affairs Secretary Robert Wilkie was standing next to Gardner when he made his pitch, and here's what he said when asked to comment on the proposal.
I can't speak to the particulars because the senator said he's getting ready to introduce that. I could say in general, Colorado needs more, it deserves more, and we will be looking at all options.
Secretary Wilkie was in Colorado to visit the VA hospital in Aurora. We will let you know when Senator Gardner puts in a proposal on a new VA hospital.
Coming up, the Patriots report another case of coronavirus just 2 days before its game against the Broncos.
Plus, dress to kill. You might just save a local business.
There are a lot of bills due in November, and we haven't broken even yet.